important one. All of us here, in some shape or form, can be another such vehicle. From where we are today, I'd like us to focus briefly on destinations, highlight directions, and give some observations and thoughts. What we must remember firstly is effectively that more of the same is not just good enough. The idea that we can bring technology of the highest order into schools without changing the schooling, without working with the people who have to deliver this, is nonsense. I promise you, you can put the best technology in the world in schools. If this is not well planned and if this is not accommodated, it's not going to work. It will never have the outcome that we really want to achieve. In the age of industrial mass production, including schooling the masses, is over. New ages are dawning, and they're dawning fast. We need to move ahead of the times, not just with it. And we need the people to achieve this. We also need to walk a fine tightrope. The tightrope between globalization, everything is possible, everything is fast, everything is international and instantly available, and at the same time, we need to focus on our own context, which we don't want to lose. And I love this example, whereby I've tried this. I'm from the Netherlands. If I give 100 children a piece of paper and a pencil and ask them to draw their horizon, they will draw a straight line. Because that's what you see in the Netherlands. And if you ask children in the Middle East to draw their horizons, sand dunes may well be part of it. So the trick that we need to play, and we need to be conscious of, is in an age of globalization, how do we retain our local culture and identity at the same time? We are in danger of losing some of this, and I'll talk about that in a little while. We need to focus on our children, our learners better. And also we need to focus on the teams of which those children are a part. Our schools need to change. Our schools that are currently underused, that are used for set hours per day, set days per week, and set weeks per year, are underutilized. Schools need to be more than a school. They need to be service centers at the heart of communities owned by their members. They need to be decompartmentalized, with children like trivial pursuit pieces. A number of differently colored cheeses fit in the one piece. The child is complex, but the solution is really simple. Know your children better and tailor the provision so that personalized learning is meaningful. When at the moment in schools you hear personalized learning, it's fake. Because the evidence on which personalized learning is based is the children's attendance, their behavior, their grades and potential, and one or two possible other things. It doesn't tell you about their likes, their kindness, their aptitudes, what they're like as a team player, or what their aspirations are. We need to widen the baseline. And we need our schools to be something else. We need our schools to be havens of doing the right thing. And if you are fortunate enough that you are more fortunate than others, build a longer table, not a taller wall. Schools need to be inclusive and welcoming. We need to realize that experience is everything. Our schools are where we school children. Education is wider. Experience is everything. In schooling as in education, we need to understand and practice that the environment is the third teacher. The world is our classroom. Why is it not mandatory that children and families visit museums, libraries, galleries, places of culture as part of a wider school curriculum? Incidentally, that visit at times can of course be online. utilizing amazing technology, but we need to move beyond the classroom. The environment exemplifies, provides purpose, allows for dots to be connected, is the appliance of the science, and fills us with awe and wonder. The environment is there for us to utilize. I have never understood why we can teach Shakespeare in school, read plays, without the end product to be a visit to the theatre to experience what the great man would have wanted us to see. I don't understand why this is not happening. Now, add into that the use of superb technology, and the world really is our oyster in educational terms. We need to realize that the greatest educational discovery, and probably beyond, in some shape or form, is the internet. It gives us the most impressive environment. It gives us an opportunity to become discoverers, to meet people from all over the world. It reduces the size of the planet to something we can have in the palm of our hands. It gives us awe and wonder. And in schooling terms, we could even end up teaching creativity back into our children instead of teaching it out of our children. But yet we are scared of this technology. Because when my 17-year-old daughter goes to school, sits on the bus, on her mobile phone, talking to her friends in Madrid or Mallorca or Bologna or indeed Dubai, then she gets to the school and the first message is, turn it off. And she's allowed to turn it back on when she leaves that school. We don't really utilize the internet in school. We treat the internet like a modern day library. I want to walk into a classroom as a languages teacher by birth. I want to walk into a classroom where the teacher says, have you got your mobile phones on you today? Can you turn them on, please? We are going on a journey of discovery, and here is the end product I want you to produce. We need to be more courageous. Why are we talking about technology if we haven't got the courage to sometimes get it wrong? Learn our lessons and get it less wrong the next time. The focus needs to be on knowing the child. Then it needs to be on lifting the lid, breaking the jar. And I hear a lot about the story that is future jobs. 65% of all future jobs that our children will be doing don't exist yet. How do they know? Who knows that number? Has somebody got a crystal ball? And I'm not scared, because when in 2009 the iPhone 3 came along, and all of a sudden the internet was in the palm of our hands, we coped, we more than coped. The iPhone 15, I understand from my daughter who wants me to buy it for her, was launched yesterday. So we will be ready for this, particularly if we move towards better provision for our children. We need to start young, and we need to trust the children as much as they trust us. Kidzania research globally showed the following. It showed that all stereotypes are set at the age of 4. So in Kidzania terms, that means pilots, 95% boys, cabin crew, 90% girls, and so it goes. It also shows that globally all girls, regardless of their background, choose activities below their age range. 9-year-old girls choose 7-year-old activities. 9-year-old boys choose 9 or 10-year-old activities. There are issues about expectations and self-confidence. It also shows us that poor children make poor choices, and it is upon us to correct this. And it finally shows us that the differences between the countries, from Mexico to Moscow to Mumbai, is negligible. There is an issue of the globalization of growing up. It is up to us how we balance that with the need to retain our local culture and identity. But we must start young, because if the stereotypes are set at the age of 4, and we don't start talking to our children about their futures till they're 14, we allow our stereotypes to cement for 10 years, and we kid ourselves that we still make a difference. How about utilizing the learning out of school to bring purpose to the teaching in school and connect the real world better with the curriculum? And we need to remember, incidentally, that learning doesn't stop at 16 or 18. Lifelong learning as a concept is an afterthought. If we really want to move into a tomorrow that is better, we need to recognize and invest in this ongoing phenomenon of I can learn, I can find things out. I've learned so much here in the last 2 days that I can put in my back pocket and use for the rest of my life. It's amazing. And I'm an old man. So we have to plan for this and not treat it as a coincidence. We must remember, we really must remember, that education can and should be the repair shop of truth and trust. Truth and trust are the bedrocks of an education system rooted in morality, ethics, principles, and shared values. Our children look to our education system, to our schools and our teacher for the guidance that is related to truth and trust. We have to invest in that in a world that seems to be moving away from this phenomenon. We need activism as outcomes. I was hearing somewhere that one of the countries in Europe is putting climate change on the curriculum as a natural science. And I will come and teach you climate change as a school subject. And then I will test you to see how much you remember of what I've taught you. I'm sorry to say, I don't think that's going to make a great deal of difference. I think we need, as the outcome of our schooling and education, activism. And it will be for some. We need technology in all its awe and wonder to serve our principles, our values, our aims and objectives, and to make the world a better place. Technology is not the lead. Technology is what we want it to be, and it will take us where we want it to go. We must, of course, make sure and safeguard that it is always in the hands of good people. And we need this for all. This is the single greatest challenge, not the technology itself, but its access. In schools in England, one of them was my wife's school, an elementary school in the north of England. At the start of the pandemic, 35% of children did not have internet access at home. And of the other 65%, 30% were sharing a device between 3 or 4 children. If we want this to work, we need to level the playing field. And we need to do this, not just governments, we all need to do this. And I think the private sector in particular has a very important part to play in this. If we want to be successful in a different way, we need to measure what we value as opposed to value what we can measure. No essence can be measured by a yardstick. My daughter, in a couple of hours, will be on the train from Sheffield to Oxford to go and have a look around Oxford University, where she would like to study Spanish and Italian. I hope her dreams come true. She deserves it. But she's better than her grade. She will always be better than her grade. And we need to know them better. So we need to measure differently. Please, if you take one bit away today, change your system of accountability so that it is a true reflection of what our children can do and who they are. Kidzania taught me a great deal. It taught me how important learning out of school is. It also taught me how important experiences are. For Kidzania, you can replace this with 1,000 names, from museums to galleries to farms to sitting on the beach and reading Atonement, for example. But we must